Greetings, travelers. It's been a year since the previous year, so it's time to make a small video about good games that I played this year. I did not play nearly as much as I expected to, so this list is going to be a little bit shorter. Just for clarity's sake, I had to have at least beaten the main campaign of the game for me to include it in this video. I also included a game that didn't come out this year, but this is the year that I played it, so yeah. Why do I mention beating the campaign specifically? Because I didn't complete Shin Megami Tensei 5. Yet. Even though I like the game. The first game on this list is going to be Inscryption. Yes, it is spelled with a Y. The only thing I can really say about this game is the less you know about it ahead of time, the better. For a very small explanation, it is a card game that keeps expanding the more you play it. It is technically a horror game, but it's not really scary. Other than that, I'm not going to say anything more other than I'm begging you to try this game. All of my friends who played it got completely addicted to it for like a week straight, myself included. The music will also get stuck in your head for a long time after the fact. It's just such a fun experience and well done from start to finish. I cannot possibly recommend this game enough. As for the game that's been out for a little while and I finally got around to playing it this year, is going to be Deep Rock Galactic. I feel like the co-op shooter genre is a little bit weird to talk about because any game is fun when playing with friends. But when you end up with a co-op shooter that's also fun to play by yourself, that's how you know they did something right. There is so much that I want to jerk this game off for. Good class variety, good weapon variety, solid randomness to make each level unique, the movement feels good, the shooting feels good, it's just a good game. My only complaint is that it's a little slow at first as you unlock all the level types, and finding a difficulty that stimulates you can also take a bit of time. But other than that, this is one of those games that they keep updating even though it's already great and it somehow just keeps getting better. Rockin' Stone. You might have heard of this one before, it's called It Takes Two. It only won Game of the Year. I do think this game's popularity is very well deserved. A game that's about a couple that's in the middle of trying to get a divorce and being forced to work together is pretty serious while also being quite funny. I really like the level design, it's cool how they're creative with each area to make it unique, and the new mechanics never get stale, and also manage to not feel like cheap gimmicks. I like the personalities of the characters, their flaws are apparent but not in a way that makes them super annoying. It is very much the perfect rendition of two jaded adults being trapped in a Disney Pixar universe. Seeing how they react to the weird whimsy and mayhem is entertaining in its own right, and it's made even better by how well everything works with their personalities and characters. The only thing that I wish is that the game was a little bit longer. It's so good for what you get that I think it's still worth a playthrough. Just gotta find a friend to play with. Oh, would you look at that. It's time to talk about a game that I also didn't play until this year that's way older. Return of the Obra Dinn is a classic. I played this game after I was super sick and was still delirious a little bit, but I still wouldn't be able to play this game easily even if I was sober. I do actually have a review of this game on my channel if you want to hear some more details. It's a puzzle game about figuring out who is everyone on a boat and how they died. The art style is a little off-putting at first, but it is cool when you get used to it. Some stuff in the game is super easy to figure out if you aren't me, and other stuff can be super obscure and you wonder how someone would ever put those details together, and then you watch me figure that out and wonder how I couldn't tell who the person was that was steering the fucking boat. Still a great game, and if you've never heard of it before, I recommend trying it out with as little information ahead of time as possible. One game that I played in the past and then played the new version of this year is Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. This is still one of my favorites of the visual novel genre. I think the new stories that are added in the new version are incredible. It wasn't what I expected, but I loved it anyways. It's another one of these games that's better the less you know about it ahead of time, so if you haven't already played it, it's a good one to try. My number 2 spot on this list is going to go to Psychonauts 2, although I did actually play both Psychonauts 1 and 2 this year. I'm only going to mention Psychonauts 2 because I can. I think the series is very creative, but creativity alone is not enough to make something amazing. These games manage to be very well executed on top of all the good concepts though. It's been a long time since I've played a 3D platformer and managed to have the same feeling of fun and wonder since I was a kid. This game manages to be a fun platformer in its own right while also portraying some serious topics in a very digestible way. You don't need to play the first game to enjoy the second, but I do think both games are fantastic, so you might as well play them both. And for my personal favorite game that I played this year, since it obviously always comes down to extreme personal bias, it's going to go to Nier Replicant. I do like both the Nier games. No, I don't really play Drakengard. I think Yoko Taro games have been good, albeit sometimes a little too ambitious for what hardware could really do at the time. I do love Nier Replicant though. I like the gameplay and I like the story a ton, but what really pushes it over the top for me are the characters and their dynamic together. It's really hard to play through this entire journey with the whole cast and not learn to love them. Kaine alone is already a very entertaining character, but having them all together just feels right. I think the new ending that was added in for the new version leaves more for interpretation while also giving a satisfying conclusion. That's probably not canon though. The soundtrack is something that I like to listen to by itself, and that's really only the icing on the cake. It's not going to be everyone's favorite game, but I think a lot of people will be able to appreciate this for what it is, and it's definitely the game that I think about the most after playing it this year. Well, that's going to be it from me on this topic this year. I just wanted to make something small and easy because I know some people don't want to listen to me complain about everything 24/7. I'm not going super in-depth with any of my reviews here, just letting you know that these are good games, and if you haven't heard of any of them, you might want to check them out. You also might have noticed that I didn't include a certain MMO with a certain expansion, only because I obviously like the game. I just don't want to talk about it in this video. Happy New Year, and now let's get out there and get addicted to Inscryption and be unreachable for a couple days.